Kubiak was only in Seattle, obviously, for one season, but one of the things I felt like was foundational, or his easiest way, most direct manner of attacking defense was this 12 personnel formation that I call ACE. One tight end to the right of the quarterback, one tight end to the left. You'll get the all-22 angle in a moment, but there's another receiver off screen to our right-hand side. It's going to be a play-action pass that's built off of the run action. Kenneth Walker III here for the Raiders, obviously Ashton Gianti. At its core, what he's doing is he's creating run-pass conflict at the same time that he's creating horizontal conflict, meaning the running back flowing in one direction, in this case to the right-hand side for the offense, left-hand portion of our screen, and then tight end, receiver, and also quarterback, all going in the opposite direction. That's what I mean when I say horizontal conflict. It's a play action to Kenneth Walker, and then the quarterback going out to his left, our right-hand side of the screen. Obviously, the motioning tight end helps out with the pass pro, so you can call it max pro if you wish, but it all fits together in the run concepts and the play action pass, forcing essentially the edge defender to make a decision whether to be inside of this kick out block to the top side of it. In addition, it helps out when you actually do run the football away from him. It's a 2-by-2 formation originally, but after the motion by the tight end, it really almost becomes a 3-by-1. So here's what I mean. Tight end, receiver, tight end, and like I said, receiver off screen to our right. When the ball is snapped, the tight end is on the other side. So you got one tight end, a second tight end in the form of Arroyo, and then Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's going to catch this touchdown pass against the Cardinals off screen to our right. Like I said, I'll give you the all-22 angle, but layering or compounding the run-pass conflict with the horizontal conflict just changes the formula for the defense. They're no longer able to, quote, see the football when the quarterback is in the shotgun. It perhaps makes the game simpler. I certainly don't want to say easier for the quarterback. It's a classic Kubiak or play action concept whereby you've got a vertical from the side where the quarterback boots to, and then an over route from the opposite side. Like I said, I'll give you the end zone angle so you can see it for yourself. You can expect a lot of this in Las Vegas. I think this is one of Kubiak's most reliable and almost safeguarded concepts in that it stresses that edge defender, defensive end, outside linebacker, whatever you want to call him, on the side of the play action boot. So what I'm talking about is this is the same play from the all-22 angle. This edge defender up here, as Sam Darnold boots up to that direction, you're going to get motion by this tight end. Sometimes it's a 21 personnel group, so sometimes the guy in motion is actually a fullback, but he's going to motion across, help out with the edge defender, and that's going to give Sam Darnold just enough time, in certain cases, not necessarily on this play, in certain cases, it's going to give the quarterback just enough time to be able to get the football off either to this over route, or sometimes it's a tight end who chips and then releases out into the flats as well. In this case, he's going to hit JSN, kind of a double move-ish route, stutters, and then goes to the outside, and then takes his route vertical because the safety to that side, we're talking about this guy here, is orienting to deal with the over route from Rashid Shaheed. We're talking about that safety there, dropping down, recognizing that it's really an over, what some people call Yankee concept. You can see all the space that Darnold has. At times, you get these edge defenders. The Patriots did it in the Super Bowl. You get these edge defenders that'll really veer off for the quarterback now, essentially trying to take that away from the Kubiak playbook. You can see the horizontal conflict. Running back this direction, quarterback that direction, opposite of each other, hence the phrase horizontal conflict. It's a change of pace by JSN, so a little bit of an outside stem or outside lean, and then takes the route up top. Huge touchdown. We've got other examples of it that I'll show you. I'm going to give you two play action concepts. Again, they're all going to be from 12 personnel. This formation, again, what I refer to as ACE, I think is probably Klint Kubiak's best. As the season went on, and like I kind of referred to earlier, that the Patriots in the Super Bowl would often take their edge defenders and veer off the quarterback a little bit quicker as the season developed, because defenses began to recognize the potential for the play action boot, particularly to the quarterback's left. Another dynamic that I want to mention here, and this is a play action pass, like I said, it's I think week 5 against the Bucs, a home loss, is that Kubiak and even Sam Darnold, but I think it was coached into him, they trust everyone. You've got a situation here where they're throwing the football to a guy who has, I believe, 4 catches. First play was JSN. In this case, JSN is not on the field. I think you've got an over route from Cooper Kupp from the opposite side. It's a Kubiak dynamic, in my opinion, that they trust everyone's. Derek Young up to the top side of the screen is essentially a special teams player for the most part. But you can see the dynamic that I kind of talked about with this edge defender here. Stepping down, his shoulders are kind of turned a little bit as opposed to staying square. And then putting that conflict in his mind. He sees the football, so that's why he veers off. But when you get an example a little bit later, you'll see the Patriots OLBs, veering off to the quarterback a whole lot quicker. In addition, when you do see these play action passes, you oftentimes get the running back on this kind of like wider path. It's almost a little bit exaggerated, whereas if they're getting the football, it'll be more so a path like that, and these guys will kind of widen it up, and that's to put the second-level defenders in conflict for as long as possible, essentially to elongate the time by which they realize the ball has not been handed off, or in this case, tossed. This is a remarkable throw from Darnold. Like I said, it's Derek Young. Only got, I think, 4 career catches and 3 targets this season overall. This was one of them. It was against the Bucs, a fantastic catch. I'll rewind it a couple of times and give you the end zone angle of it as well. I think that is coached into the quarterback guy by Klint Kubiak. What I mean is trusting everyone to be able to make plays. As far as the personnel 12 and the formation ace, I think it's systematic. Kubiak has answers from this formation out of 12 personnel for pretty much anything that a defense can offer. You're going to see this look from NFL defenses in 2025 multiple times, this kind of 5-3 look. What I mean is you got 3 down defensive linemen, 2 edge defenders, so I'm calling that the 5, the first number, 2 inside linebackers, and then a strong safety or perhaps a nickel walked up to the field to create that third, second-level defender, hence a 5-3. 2 tight ends, like I said, 1 to the right, 1 to the left. Derek Young is the target. He's off-screen to our right-hand side. There's the edge defender that's put in an extreme amount of conflict because of the potential of, in this case, a toss play. Sometimes it's just a good old-fashioned stretch concept. I'll give you one of those from one of the Seahawks games against the Rams a little bit later this year. I think Ashton Gianti and the 2 tight ends that are on the roster, Mayer and Brock Bowers, I know that there's injury issues to navigate there for him as far as hopefully getting back fully healthy, but I think it sets up perfectly for their personnel. I do believe that Kubiak is a guy who is maybe egalitarian, maybe not with the targets, because JSN I think got 164 this year, but I think he's egalitarian from the standpoint of multiple guys have made plays this season that wouldn't be considered high-level talents, a lot of offenses across the NFL. I'm talking about guys like A.J. Barner, Jake Bobo, Torrey Horton, the rookie, who's obviously spectacularly talented, but I think he ended up with 5 or 6 touchdowns this year. Kubiak uses everyone, in my opinion, and I think puts them in position to succeed. The final play action that I'll show you from the same formation, again, I'm specifically making this for Raiders fans who are trying to get familiar with Klint Kubiak's offense. I'm a day or maybe a day and a half late trying to get this in production, but this is obviously from the Super Bowl. 2 tight ends, 1 to the left in the form of Barner. He's going to be the guy that makes the touchdown catch. This one puts Seattle up 19-0. And then the tight end to the right, Eric Saubert, who had the game-winning 2-point conversion catch in the regular season against the Rams. This is a run-pass motion, and what I mean by that is you cannot tell whether it's going to be a run or a pass play by the motion. However, typically you do get the guy who's going to go in motion is looking to the inside, whereas the tight end who's not going to move is looking directly ahead of him. So you will see that pop up many times in the film as far as which tight end is going to motion from a 12 personnel group. Looks like man pre-snap, and once Barner starts to go in motion, these linebackers move over. You don't really get much of a movement from the safety, and so I think that's one of the things Klint Kubiak actually wants you to do. He wants to get you into an 8-man front so you can, quote, try to stop the run, and then try to abuse you or take advantage with the play action pass. So this would be the run blocking scheme. And I'll show you the run plays here in a moment. Basically, it would be a double or a late combo on the edge defender, whereby the first tight end, the one that's closest or lined up there, engages the edge defender initially, and then the tight end who goes in motion engages him later on, tries to maybe expand him to the outside. So that line is not actually what Barner's going to do here, because he's going to dramatically run upfield and basically run by the inside linebacker who's responsible for him from a man standpoint. It was originally Spillane playing man on the tight end. Once you get the motion of Barner across, again, you see this kind of exaggerated path by the running back, really lateral towards the sideline, and that is so that Sam Darnold can keep the football out there as long as possible. Some teams do this in a different manner. Some teams just line the running back up a half a yard or almost half a yard deeper to elongate the time that the second-level defenders are put in conflict. Basically, they see the football or they see the quarterback's back turn and they don't know who has it simplistically. In any case, Barner is running by this inside linebacker because the conflict here has not been resolved. The ball's not been handed off, or it has not been kept by the quarterback. Sam Darnold's still extending it, and in this case, the linebacker is absolutely wrong. Cooper Kupp has actually talked about this one. JSN is off the field at this point, and Kupp apparently begins to run the wrong route, and that's why you see Kupp kind of get into the path of A.J. Barner. We're talking about how they almost collide right here. It's a big moment. It was after a turnover, and I believe puts them up 19-0. This is what Kubiak wants. I think, people are going to say, oh, well, they're just going to get in an 8-man front when we do this, when we go 12 personnel and get under center. That's what Kubiak wants because he attacks it with 12 personnel play action. I've got probably 30 iterations of that this year whereby I think, him and his staff in Seattle and then probably next year in Las Vegas, if they can resolve the offensive line issues and figure out who the quarterback's going to be. That's what Klint Kubiak wants. It's a great play call, this one in particular. He attacks that far right-hand corner of the end zone with tight ends often. You'll see another one a little bit later in the video. The motion is going to change the coverage. Again, Barner is, being guarded by Spillane here. Pre-snap, free safety doesn't really move much at all with the motion, and he certainly doesn't get involved from a coverage standpoint. So normally, the run angle path, something like that, maybe an outside zones, off tackle, your aiming point will be a little bit wider. In this case, the path that George Halani's going to take is going to push him more lateral towards the sideline. And that's so that the conflict is not resolved in time for the linebackers. In this case, Spillane has no one to guard, so he's just blitzing. But 51 does. He's responsible for Barner. And the conflict isn't resolved in time for him, so he's got a decision to make. Okay, do I take on the block, potential block by Barner, or do I turn and run with him if it's a pass play? He didn't know. That's the whole point. You have this elongation or lengthening of the conflict, and that's the whole issue that Kubiak presents. It's classic. It's traditional, if you ask me. Barner and Kupp, like I said, they almost collide with each other. That's because JSN would normally be that guy running the route. It's really because Kubiak knows the coverage, and it's something that you can ask Seahawks fans about. When they played the Rams in the playoffs, when they played the Rams late in the regular season, it was almost like every pass play that Kubiak called was perfect, to the specific coverage that the Rams played. I think that he does a great job in prep and parsing out, what the coverage is going to be during the game, allowing him to create extra space for players like this. A.J. Barner, super talented guy from Michigan, but in this case, the run-pass conflict is what made this all happen. It's really pretty simple, to be honest with you. It's not overly complicated, but keep in mind, a lot of the film that you're going to see from this video is against either a Super Bowl defense in the form of the Patriots or the Los Angeles Rams.